Typically speaking, a tenant who is going to enter into a rental contract with a property owner should be provided with a decent rental contract, which should be fair and balanced. You want to check that the person who's renting that property to you actually owns the property. So I would ask to see a copy of the deeds or a land search. I'd like to see water, electric bills attached to the contract, because typically the tenant will pay for those. As a tenant, I'd also recommend that you take out your own home and contents insurance. If there's furniture involved, then an inventory should be provided. And then the clauses of the contract. I would never recommend to a client that they pay the full rental upfront, because if anything went wrong with the property during the term of the rental, it's very difficult, or sometimes it's difficult to get the landlord back to repair things. Bear in mind, he's already had all his money. So I'd say, normally you'd pay 1 or 2 months up front, and then a month's rental. So typically it would be 2 months up front, which includes a deposit for any wear and tear and damage, and then as first month's rental. And in the contract, you want to see things like, who's responsible for water and electric? Are those contracts going to be put in your name or not? And what happens upon, for example, if you want to leave the property after a certain period of time, what notice periods are involved? If you go for a long-term contract, and typically speaking, once you've been in there for a year, then that contract is extendable up to 3 or 5 years. So you can stay for longer. And normally I'd expect to see there clauses that the rent can be increased in line with inflation, or a set figure per month. So the last rental contract I looked at, each year the rent increased by 3%, which the tenant accepted. It's normal for a landlord to request that, to visit the property and to be able to access the property within notice of, say, 24 or 48 hours. As a landlord, I strongly recommend that landlords do that on a regular basis, certainly every 6 months or a year, to make sure the property is still in a good state of repair. And then for tenants, obviously, there will be wear and tear. You will have to also comply with if you're renting an apartment, you'll have to comply with the rules of any community. So the community might say, look, you're not allowed to use the pool after 8 o'clock, and you've got to keep the noise down after 11 o'clock. So I'd ask them for a copy of the rules of the community as well when signing that rental contract. Generally speaking, when a contract is signed, the deposit would be paid to the landlord, and the landlord would hold that, and you would trust the landlord to return that at the end of the rental. Some regional communities in Spain do have protections, so you deposit the monies and the contract with the regional government, but that's quite bureaucratic, takes time, and it's not something that is done in practice much. So generally speaking, a deposit would be paid to the landlord.